Hey everyone, so today's notes are going to be on page 12, and this is called slope-intercept form. So our central question today is, what is the general equation for slope-intercept form, and what can it tell us? So our general equation is going to be y equals mx plus b, right? So it's kind of in the form of solving equations, just a little bit different. So anytime you see y equals mx plus b or y equals like 5x plus 3, it's wanting you to do something with a slope and the y-intercept and the line. So the reason why it's called slope-intercept form is because the m right here gives us our slope of a line. So this is an equation of a line. It's not the only way to do an equation of a line, but it's the most common and the one that you will deal with all the time in 8th grade. So m is my slope. Now, whenever you see the word slope, I want you to think of this is your constant rate of change. So what I mean by constant rate of change is anytime you can identify something that is your per, each, and every. So what I'm wanting you guys to do is, typically when we're solving equations, right, we would draw our line and box our variable. Basically, your variable is your slope, or whatever the number is with the x, that is your slope. So here the m is the slope. Why do they call it m? I'm sure it was some Greek letter or something like that, the Greek term for it, but we call our slope m. Just like we call b is our y-intercept. Right? So another way to say your y-intercept is your starting point. So in other words, if I told you guys, like, I'm going to go order a pizza, it's $10 per pizza, and there's a $2 delivery fee. Well, my y-intercept there would be my starting point of $2 delivery fee, because that's the minimum I can spend. And then my slope is going to be 10, because every pizza that we get is going to be an additional $10, or it's changing constantly, $10 for each additional pizza. Now, what is slope? Slope is going to be our rise over our run. And we can find this by doing delta y over delta x. Now, this is basically the fancy way of saying this, but I like introducing it to you guys since you will be exposed to it next year and beyond when you're in high school. So the little triangle, which we're going to call delta, so delta, it can be substituted for your change in. So if I say the change in y over the change in x, so how much does y change over how much does x change? We're going to go into this much more in the upcoming days. Today we're just focusing on the equation. So on this first one we have y equals 5x plus 3. So I want you to box your variable. So I'm going to box that 5x. All we're doing today basically is identifying what is our slope from the equation and what is our y-intercept. So here my slope is 5, right? Because that's what's in the box. So your slope is always going to be what did you put in the box. My y-intercept is 3 because it's whatever number is outside the box. Now, this is the most correct way of writing this. However, since my slope is typically written as a fraction, what I like to do personally is I like to write my slope as a fraction. Because if I go to graph this, I now know I'm going to rise up 5 and go to the right 1. And I can actually see it when I do it as a fraction versus just having a whole number, where it's understood that a whole number can go over a 1, but I like actually being able to see it. But your y-intercept is just whatever is outside the box. So looking at the second one, y equals 1/2 x minus 5. I'm going to box my variable. So my slope is whatever's in my box. So my slope is 1/2. My y-intercept is going to be a negative 5. All right, so whatever's outside the box is your y-intercept. Whatever's inside the box is your slope. And now for this last one. So y equals negative 3x. So here I have a negative 3 as my slope. Okay? And my y-intercept, there's nothing outside my box. So remember, if there's nothing outside your box, it's the same thing as plus 0. So my y-intercept is going to be 0. Now another thing we're going to talk about that we have talked about is proportional versus non-proportional. On anything where your y-intercept is not 0, it is non-proportional. So in other words, this first one, y equals 5x plus 3, that would be non-proportional because my y-intercept was 3. The second one, this one would be non-proportional because my y-intercept is negative 5. And this last one would be proportional because my y-intercept is 0. Remember, anytime we're looking for a proportional relationship, it's a straight line that goes through the origin, so your y-intercept has to be 0. Now, last thing, if you want to go down and check this out, this is where we're moving, where we're going to be able to take the slope of a graph and the y-intercept and be able to graph it. You can kind of just check this out, but we'll be going over more on this next week.